Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dimes Unlimited podcast.
Hello.
I'm here, Chase. I'm with Gabe.
Hello.
Today, we're just going to go over a little bit of the news off the jump, get into Gabe's fantasy corner, talk about the Lakers and the Clippers, get into a little bit of Zion's emergence, and then we're going to give our MVP, Most Improved, Sixth Man of the Year, Coach of the Year, Rookie of the Year awards to this point in the season, right around All-Star break. So right now, we're going to start it off with news. So the All-Star reserves came out. You saw this, right, Gabe?
Yes.
And they picked, in the West, they got Anthony Davis, Paul George, Gobert for their forwards. For the guards, they had Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, and then for the utility spots, Chris Paul and Zion. Everyone threw a fit on Twitter when this first came out because Devin Booker was not in the game.
Mm-hmm.
What I didn't understand about this is everyone knew he was going to be Anthony Davis's injury replacement.
Yeah.
I don't think it was close. I know Jonas Valanciunas wasn't even on the board for you.
That's a personal topic.
Throwback to last week when he picked Jonas Valanciunas for the injury reserve spot. But I don't understand what the fuss was about. But he is a deserving All-Star, and he's there this year. For the East, they got Jaylen Brown, James Harden, Zach LaVine. They had Randle, Ben Simmons, Tatum, and Vucevic. Now, what made this interesting was the injury reserve spot that came around yesterday.
Yeah.
So yesterday, they announced KD will be out past All-Star break.
Yes.
So because of that, obviously, an All-Star spot opened up where they selected Sabonis. So Sabonis right now is averaging 21.6 points, 11.5 rebounds, 5.8 assists, a steal, and 0.6 blocks. Solid numbers right around where Randle was. Then, because of that, they moved Sabonis into the IR. And they moved... so they put Sabonis into the All-Star Game spot. And then they put Tatum into the starting lineup to take KD's spot.
Oh, I didn't even know they put Tatum in the starting lineup.
They put Tatum in the starting lineup for KD since
Yeah.
KD will no longer be a part of the All-Star Game.
Yeah.
All right. And then the other news we have for today is Cade Cunningham just dropped 40 points
Yeah, that's
in his college game today.
OT.
It was in OT. Now, a couple things we just wanted to go over. Cade Cunningham's jump shot looks better than ever in this game.
It is so smooth. I swear to God.
Silky smooth. Doesn't look like he has a problem with it at all. He was hitting step backs, driving in the lane, getting a little easy middies. He was looking really nice tonight.
Beat Oklahoma, too.
Beat Oklahoma. All right. And that should wrap up right around the news. Do you have anything to add about the All-Star reserves? Anyone you think that should have got the spot over Sabonis?
Just glad my boy Devin Booker got in.
Yeah, that's your boy.
That's my
Devin
guy.
Booker's also balling this season.
Yeah.
He's averaging 24.9 points, 3.6 rebounds, 4.3 assists, while sharing the floor with Chris Paul. It's hard to do with another star there.
Yeah.
He's been balling. And other than that, we're going to move on to the next segment. All right, and welcome back to Gabe's Fantasy Corner. Gabe, what do you have for us this week?
Well, Chase, I have a whole bunch for you. We're going to start with the sell highs. I'm going to get right into it. First, sell high. Name a Piston, really. Any Piston over the age of 25 is most likely going to be rested and get fairly limited minutes past the All-Star break. People like Jeremy Grant, people like Mason Plumlee, DeLon Wright, they're going to be all taken out in favor of players like Isaiah Stewart, Saban Lee, Sadiq Bey. Yeah, respectively so.
If you have a player like Jeremy Grant, sell him while he is high. He will be resting every single back-to-back this year.
Yes, he will. Which is definitely going to hurt your fantasy team if you cannot get rid of him.
And right now, they haven't officially released that he's sitting back every back-to-back, but it is theorized. So before it's official, you should try to sell high on Jeremy Grant.
Mm-hmm. And then another sell high I have is one Desante Murray from the San Antonio Spurs. Over the last 2 weeks, he's putting up top 3 fantasy value numbers. He's shooting 52% from the field, 90% from the line, going 27, 11, and 6 with 2 steals a game and 0 turnovers.
Those
Again,
are insane numbers.
a lot of it's because of the postponement, so there's limited games in that sample size, but he's still going off. And he's an obvious sell high for obvious reasons. DeRozan's just come back. He's going to be playing.
DeRozan will play tonight.
Yeah.
Coming back from personal reasons.
But obviously, you know, if you want to keep DeJounte, I understand. He's still a great source of steals. He's on the season, he's averaging 16, 7, and 5, so he's still going to get you everything. Well-rounded guy. Hard to find on the fantasy wire.
Especially a point guard that gets 7 boards a game.
Yeah.
Is valuable. It's a good selling point if you're trying to sell high on him right now.
Yeah. And then, next for the buy lows, these are a pair of Celtics that are both buy lows, actually. For the time being, at least, because they're going to bounce back pretty quick, I have a feeling. Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown just came off of a 15-point game and a 17-point game where he shot around 40% each game.
No threes.
No threes. It's just tough as a fantasy owner that's used to getting over 2.5 threes a game, around 25 points.
So, who knows? If you have an owner that's quick to pull triggers on trades and they have Jaylen Brown, throw an offer out there. Maybe Jeremy Grant. And then the next one is Jason Tatum, who's been in much more of a dry spell than Jaylen. Jason is putting up stats over the last 2 weeks of shooting 36% from the field for 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists with about a steal and a block. So he's still getting his counting stats, but the percentage is really low, and I can see owners worrying about that.
All right. Now, if you're an owner of Tatum, are you worrying or are you trying to sell him? Because I don't think it gets much worse than this.
Personally, I would hold on to him because he's a unique type of fantasy player all around, and he's going to bounce back. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but I think right now is the perfect time to try to throw a
great
trade offer
time
for
to
him.
go for him.
It's rare that a first-round player will do this bad that you have a chance to get a shot at him.
Yes. All right, so for the pickups, I have quite a few pickups, actually. The first I want to go over is Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is going to get minutes because, what's his face?
Oh.
Alfred Payton. Alfred Payton's out with a hamstring injury. So, and you also know that Emmanuel Quickley is not going to start because of Tom Thibodeau.
And
so the guy you want to pick up,
loves Derrick Rose.
The guy you want to pick up is Derrick Rose.
I could see his minutes shooting up to around 35 per game.
Yeah. And over the last week, he's averaging 13, 3, and 6 almost with about a steal. So he's doing well. Low turnovers. He's a guy that you want to go for off the waiver wire if he's available. He's owned in 62% of Yahoo leagues right now, though. So, and then next is Malik Monk.
Malik Monk has been balling these last 4 games.
Yeah, Malik Monk has been, but he's also another guy. Who's not going to be. He's a short-term fantasy pickup. He's over the last 2 weeks averaging 4 threes with 21 points and 5 boards. Not much else.
Yeah, I believe last game he got 25 points, right?
Yeah. And he's hitting 4 threes a game, too, over the last 2 weeks.
It's insane.
And then the last pickup I have to mention is Teo Maladon, who's more of a deep league pickup, but he's a guy I really like. He's hitting threes. He's a good free throw shooter, hitting 6 assists over the last week with steals. And yeah, what do you have to say about Teo Maladon?
I think it's crazy that he's putting up those numbers, especially with Shea and Lou Dort playing so well recently.
Yeah.
Both had Lou Dort just came off a 4 three-pointer game. Shea had that 42-pointer earlier this week. It's crazy that he's putting up the type of production he is.
Yeah. No. He's definitely an intriguing guy for the late season, too.
Definitely a deeper league guy.
Yeah.
If you're in a shallow league, he's not going to give you much. But
14-team league, if you can hold on to him like a little stash for the late season spike, that's a guy you'd want to hold on to.
And I think most of the guys on the Pistons roster. So we talked about how the Pistons are selling. You should sell high on all your Pistons players above 25. I think that also goes that you should buy low on anyone under 25. Yeah. So right now, Saban Lee, he is just on the market. I know Yahoo sent the notification out that everyone should go pick him up.
Yeah, I saw that.
It sucks for fantasy owners because I was stashing him away. Saban Lee is balling right now, along with Sadiq Bey.
Yes, Sadiq Bey is also... That's another guy I actually would want to go over, but I'm going to go over him a little bit later. First, I want to go over 2 defensive stat specialists.
Okay.
Because defensive stats is something that's very hard to come by, and they can be very useful streamers in even shallower leagues. First specialist is T.J. McConnell, who over the last 2 weeks is averaging 2.5 steals with 6 assists a game. And over the last month, it's almost 8 assists with 2 steals. So that's where are you going to find that? He's averaging more assists than Kyle Lowry over that stretch, more steals than LaMelo.
And he's shooting over 50%, right?
And he's shooting over 50%. He's shooting 50%, 57% over the last 2 weeks, which is insane.
Yeah, solid pickup. And Malcolm Brogdon's a game-time decision today. TJ McConnell might be the right guy. He might get...
Great DFS
he usually
option.
does get the start. But with Brogdon out, this is a great option, especially for, as you were saying, daily fantasy.
Yeah. And then my other guy I wanted to go over is more of a block specialist, and his name's Jakob Pirtle.
Jakob Pirtle.
Yeah, and over the last 2 weeks, he's averaging 3 blocks a game, which is early round value as far as blocks go. And he's also pairing that up with 10 boards, 7 points, and almost 3 assists, which is pretty cool. The one knock on him, though, is obviously his free throw percentage. He's currently shooting 31% from the line this year, which is a little low, if you ask me.
So,
a little bit.
I personally was looking to go pick up Jakob. We're a shallow league. We're only 8 teams.
Yeah.
I was looking to go pick up Jakob, but my free throw percentage was so close that I couldn't. But how many attempts realistically? Say I'm a fantasy owner, right? And I wanted to pick up Jakob Pirtle. How many attempts does he take per game?
Over the last 2 weeks, he's shooting almost 3 free throws a game, which is actually something that could put a little dent in your free throw percentage, especially in deeper leagues. So
1 for 3 from the line will not help you.
Not at all.
But is solid with blocks. It's hard to find another guy that gets 3 blocks a game, especially when you're right there in 9-cat leagues. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of us are close in blocks. He'd be a solid streamer pickup.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to go over Sadiq Bey one more time, actually. Okay. We went over him last week, but I like him so much, I'm just going to talk about him again. Last 2 weeks, he's putting up solid 3-and-D numbers. He's shooting 45%, which is right about where I thought his average would fall. 3 threes a game, 5 boards, 13 points, 1.5 steals. This is a guy who could even contribute in a shallower league. That's top 50 value right there. I don't know if it's going to be sustainable right now, but once the veterans start to sit, he's going to get a major spike in minutes, and he's someone to look over.
Imagine Jeremy Grant sitting out and all these guys on the Pistons that are soaking up his minutes. He's going to flourish.
Once Wayne Ellington gets bought out, too, he won't have any playing time.
Yeah.
And then I got some more notes here. I'd like to once again talk about Draymond Green, who I love these stat lines, these fantasy stat lines he's coming up with. Last game, he went 11, 12, and 19 against the Charlotte Hornets. Do you have any comments on that?
I think that's an insane game.
That's
a triple-double with 19 assists is something you won't see in fantasy. Super valuable. Now, I have a question for you, right? Is this sustainable? Is what he's doing right now, because think about it, the last couple weeks, his assists have been insane. We're talking over double-digit assists, right? Mm-hmm. Is this sustainable, and is he the perfect guy to buy out, or to sell high?
This is going to be a little controversial, but I think maybe like 9.5 assists is sustainable for him this year. I could honestly see that, and I know a lot of people won't agree with that, but his role's not going to change. If anything, he's going to have a bigger role as they try to get more into the playoffs, because they're a playoff team right now, and he's going to be soaking up a lot of minutes because he's very important to that Warriors team, and he's also getting a lot of great defensive stats, which he gets. He was playing himself into shape earlier this season, so it wasn't really there, but now that he's in shape, he's averaging 1.5 steals and blocks over the last 2 weeks. So I think he's a guy that you might want to actually hold on to.
Yeah.
If you can deal with the shoddy percentages at points.
I see what you're talking about when you're talking about how many assists he has and if it's sustainable. Because he is their act-in point guard right now. He's the point guard for the Warriors.
Yeah,
he makes all the passes. Steph is moving off ball. He could sustain it. Mm-hmm. And especially for a big to have that many assists, it's valuable.
Yeah. All right, I have one more name to go over for fantasy, a little bit more of a deeper league guy. His name's Saban Lee, and he's another Detroit Piston.
Yeah.
Over the last week, he's went from 0% owned to 22% owned in Yahoo Fantasy Leagues. Last 2 weeks, his stat line is looking like 13, 3-3 with 2 steals a game. And he's shooting 60% from the field, which is unsustainable, but I still like the progress that he's making this year. And he's also a little bit of a shoddy free throw percenter, three-point percentage shooter, shooting about 61% from the free throw line this year. Any comments on Saban Lee?
I think Saban Lee's a solid player with high upside.
I think he's more of a deep league guy, too.
He could be a deep league guy, but he could even be in the more shallow leagues, around 8 people, because I see him getting lots of minutes once these veterans sit. Mm-hmm. Especially with Blake Griffin, Mason Plumlee, and Jeremy Grant sitting, someone's got to score. And it looks like Saban Lee and Sadiq Bey are going to be those guys.
I have a question for you here.
Yeah.
If you could pick between these 2 young point guards, who would you pick? Saban Lee or Teo Maladon?
For fantasy.
Yes.
I would pick Saban Lee right now because of his steals. But that's because I value the defensive stats a lot more.
Well, hold on 1 second. Can you elaborate on that a little more, actually?
Yeah. So, Saban Lee right now, I see more upside with him. I see Teo Maladon getting a little less minutes because there is Shea and Lou Dort there. Even though he's been doing it with both of them, I see a little higher ceiling with Saban Lee. He'd be a guy that I could go put a waiver on and hope he pays off.
I see. Well, this is where we would contrast here. I would rather have Teo. Over the last month, he's averaging 1.7 steals. And he's hitting threes, shooting 94% from the line, and shooting 44% from the field. And I don't know. I just see him once George Hill gets moved, and I think he will get moved. I think Teo will start at the 1 possibly, and then Shea at the 2. And I think Teo's going to get all the run that he can, honestly, off the ball from Shea. And he's a really good on-ball defender. He gets defensive stats like Saban. And he won't hurt you in any efficiency categories. So that's the guy I'd pick. And he hits a couple more threes, I think. So
I think that's a solid take. I didn't think about George Hill being moved. I forgot about that. One guy I wanted to talk about. And you could check up on what % owned he is, because I'm not really sure. But Royce O'Neil. So Royce O'Neil last night dished out 6 assists, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 1 steal, and 2 threes.
Yeah.
So he's not overwhelming you with stats, but he doesn't hurt you in anything.
Yeah, he's a good fill-in guy.
I've been looking at him for a while. What % owned is he?
He is right now 34% owned. So he's available in a lot of your Yahoo leagues if you want to pick him up.
So he could be one of those guys you pick up easy. Yeah. He's very valuable. He gives you a little bit of everything. And then how many blocks does he average?
Over the last month, he's averaging about 0.7 blocks and 0.9 steals. So
solid
he can get you
defensive stats. And as he showed last night, 6 assists. Everyone on the Jazz, the thing is the Jazz are blowing out teams right now.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows. He's getting a lot of run.
Yes, he is.
When they're up 20, they are playing Royce O'Neil.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Royce O'Neil. So.
Royce O'Neil's a solid player, gives you a little bit of everything, and then his stats aren't bad anywhere. And he's not getting turnovers.
Too.
He's consistent. He's not getting turnovers. His field goal percentage is pretty good. His free throw percentage is pretty good. He's not hurting you in any way, but does a little bit of everything.
This is actually a good segue for me. I know I was going to say that was my last guy, Saban Lee, but I actually have another guy I want to talk about who has a very similar game to Royce O'Neil, at least on fantasy terms. Josh Hart.
Josh Hart is solid.
Yeah. Over the last month, he's averaging 10, 7, and 2.6. Reminds me of a discount version of 2017 Avery Bradley, if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
He had this year
I can
where
see that. That's a good one.
A lot of rebounds. But this is something that we know is in Josh Hart's game. He's been a rebounder. He's been a hustler. And I really like his game, his fantasy game. What do you have to say about that?
I think that's a solid pickup. What % owned is he?
He's gone up 12% over the last week. He's now 42% rostered.
42%. So that means in most Yahoo leagues, especially deeper leagues, if he's available, I think he's a must-have.
He's top 100 guy right now, so
12-team leagues, even 10-team leagues, he's a necessary have.
Yeah. He does a little bit of everything for you, especially if your big men are a little weak or you got a couple big men hurt. He's a wing that can get you some boards.
Yeah, especially if you're right there and you need a pickup, right? So you're right there in a 9-cat league and you need some rebounds. He'd be perfect at the guard position. It's hard to find.
Yeah.
So to have a guard that could grab you 7 boards in a game is valuable.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Is that anything else you want to add to the fantasy section, Gabe?
No, I think that's about it for me on fantasy. That's Gabe's Fantasy Corner. That's just how I see it. So.
All right. Gabe's Fantasy Corner. All right. And we're going to move on to the next segment. Tune in. We're also going to post the fantasy segment separate. Gabe's Fantasy Corner. All right. And we're going to move on. All right. And now on to the Lakers segment we have today. So, as everyone knows, the Lakers have been struggling. They looked like the best team in the league at the beginning of the season with their new pickups of Montrez and Schroeder, Marc Gasol. But they went on a 4-game losing streak where they looked terrible.
It was rough to watch as a Laker fan. It was very tough to watch.
On the Jazz, they got completely obliterated. But I think watching the Portland game last night made us realize how valuable Dennis Schroeder is.
Dennis Schroeder is a very necessary commodity for a playoff team, any playoff team. So we're lucky to have him.
So the Lakers, he hasn't been putting up great numbers. His field goal percentage has been not the greatest. But last night he had 22 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Now what the Lakers were really missing is what people don't understand if you're not watching the games, right? Is they needed someone to attack the rim. It was all LeBron. They didn't have anyone. You saw Montrez get that 26-point game earlier, but they needed another ball handler. The next best option was either Talen Horton-Tucker, who's nice, but that's not
Talen's my boy.
Not a viable option for a championship team. Next is Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso is solid, but he's not that guy that's going to go in and create a bucket for himself.
He's a defensive spark plug.
So Dennis Schroeder gave them what they needed last night in the win over the Trailblazers. Both teams shot. Lakers shot 42%. Trailblazers shot 39%.
Ooh.
These are both really bad shooting games. I guess that means it was good for the defense.
Yeah.
But what really stood out to me was LeBron tried on defense last night, which we haven't seen in a little bit. LeBron got 3 blocks and 4 steals last night.
Beautiful.
Great time. Back to the fantasy corner. He had very solid defensive lines last night.
Yeah.
But he was trying. And that's what makes a difference. When you have your leader like LeBron trying on defense, it makes the whole team want to try as well. It's what you saw with Anthony Davis. He really led that team into being a good defensive team. Some of the struggles with defense have obviously revolved around Montrezl Harrell and Marc Gasol, which is why they need another rim protector. They just signed Damian Jones to a 10-day. Didn't play last night. Hopefully we'll see some run from him soon.
Yeah, that would be fun to see. I like him on the Lakers right now.
But I think this Lakers team, although on paper look like the best team in the league,
They have a lot of holes.
is them and Nets. They have a lot of holes that they need to fix. And maybe they're just becoming more prominent because Anthony Davis is out. But they need to figure this stuff out. And I think the biggest deal is a rim-protecting big.
Yep.
Montrezl Harrell has shown that he's good at off-ball help, but on-ball defense, he's 6'7", he's undersized for a big.
Odds are stacked against him in a big way there.
Yeah. And he can put up numbers, but he's always in that dunker position, almost clogging the lane on offense.
Yeah.
And then Marc Gasol is a negative on offense. All he does is stand at the three-point line.
Marc Gasol. Man, that was disappointing.
He could get assists if you use the offense right and run it through him, but he's defensive-wise, he's still a solid defender. But he's not getting any blocks.
He's not going to get it done, though.
He's not stopping anyone from going to the rim.
Yeah.
Is the issue.
He's
And
slow. He's got center blocks for feet right now, so.
Without Anthony Davis there, it causes real problems. All right, so that's enough bias talk about the Lakers. We're going to move on to the Clippers. So now the Clippers did improve their team this season.
Yes.
I know a lot of people didn't think they did much.
Under the radar.
But Serge Ibaka over Montrezl Harrell is a big deal.
Yeah.
Serge Ibaka is a defensive anchor.
I'd rather have Serge on the Lakers right now.
Yeah, Serge Ibaka is a big deal. We're seeing a 50-40-90 season from Paul George. We're seeing a solid season from Kawhi if they could both stay healthy.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Their team's looking good, but there's obvious problems with it. When Kawhi and Paul George are healthy, Lou Williams is almost non-valuable to their team. He's not producing off the bench. I think before Kawhi and PG got injured, he was averaging 11 points a game.
Yeah,
Compared to his 16 to 18 that he was doing before.
bad efficiency as well. So.
Yeah, you got to remember, Lou Williams almost made the All-Star team 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, he did.
So this has been a big drop-off for him. And then the guy that they had that was supposed to anchor the bench was Luke Canard, which they just traded for. Now, I want to get into a little bit about Luke Canard and Marcus Morris's contracts. Because how the team is constructed, the contracts didn't make sense to me. So let's go over them. Not to mention they also gave Paul George a 5-year max extension.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know how well he'll be in 5 years. But that's all right. Let's start with Canard. Right? So Canard, at the beginning of the season, after they traded him, they traded Shamet for Canard. It was a 3-team deal. I believe the Pistons got the 19th overall pick, which turned into Isaiah Stewart. Something like that. I think they traded up for him.
Yeah.
But it turned into Isaiah Stewart. So the Clippers gave up Shamet, who I think fit perfect on their team.
He did.
And they took back Canard. Now, as soon as they got Canard, they signed on to extension. 4 years, $64 million.
Something they didn't have to do, I don't think.
Yeah, so $16 million a year for the next 4 years.
Man.
That contract is not good.
Not good.
So if you had to guess right around how many points per game he's averaging this season, throw a number out there.
8.
8? It's pretty close. 7.5.
He's still lower than 8.
2.7 rebounds, 1.7 assists.
There you go.
Now, this is coming off of 2 do not plays due to coach's decision.
Man.
They just didn't play him.
They could pay me 16 mil.
I could see where he's valuable as a shooter. He does make some threes.
Shamet.
But that's exactly what you had with Shamet.
Yeah, Shamet did that for cheap.
I don't see why Luke Kennard's worth $16 million at this point.
Where their head was at was the defense, but Kennard's not good at defense this year.
I think they wanted a point guard to go next to Kawhi, right? Yeah. So they needed someone with some sort of playmaking ability, but that was not it. Reggie Jackson has been better than Luke Kennard this season. I think that signing is terrible.
Yeah, everyone's been better than Luke Kennard this season.
All right, but on the other hand, they gave the same contract to Marcus Morris. And Marcus Morris has been shooting 37% from 3 this season, which is around league average. He has been playing defense. He had a couple big games while Kawhi and PG were out. I don't see that as an issue this year. I think $16 million is right around what he's valued. He's getting a good amount of points. He plays his role right. He's starting, right? I think that's solid for this year. But for the next 3 years, he will be on after the season.
He's going through year 35, 36.
He will be 35 years old.
Yeah.
And they're still going to be paying him $16 million. So let's just go over how much they're paying everyone in 4 years. Because at the end of the deal, so they're still paying Luke Kennard $16 million. They're paying Marcus Morris $16 million. And now Paul George is making almost $50 million. That doesn't look like success in 4 years. Now, if you're Kawhi, you have the best chance to win with this team right now. I don't see any team making enough cap room to go get Kawhi.
Yeah.
Do you sign a long extension after this season?
I don't know. What would you do?
I think it all depends on how the playoffs play out.
Yeah.
Right? Because
if I'm Kawhi, I'm keeping my options open. What KD did on Golden State, he'd do the 1-and-1, those deals. If I'm Kawhi, that's going to be my bread and butter for the next few years.
Yeah. And I think what the Clippers need to do is get a point guard right now.
That's their number one priority.
Because right now, Kawhi is playing point guard for their team. Now, he may not start at the point guard position, but he's doing all the playmaking for that team. It is Kawhi and Paul George.
It's difficult to get a point guard on the market right now, especially with the assets that they have. They have the contracts, but they don't have any assets.
But I think the problem with the Clippers in the playoffs last year was Kawhi was so tired out from playmaking every play. And then at the end, they still relied on him to make that last shot. He's one of the clutchest players in the league. A guy that does it over and over and over again. One of the top, 5 players in the league?
Yeah.
Solid. Good. But they just can't rely on him for everything late game. Paul George has shown he doesn't have the clutch gene right now. That could be fixable. He's a solid player, putting up good numbers. It could happen. But you need someone else to create a shot for other people.
Here's my question. If you're the Clippers, who you go after?
I'm looking on the buyout market. Now, I think they should have pushed harder for Rondo. You could look like, hey, maybe that $64 million could have used instead of Canard, maybe a little bit towards Rondo, who would have helped them directly. But I think they're looking on buyout markets. I think their choice right now, what they'd want the most is Kyle Lowry.
That's not going to happen.
I don't see any package they put together because they are screwed out of picks for the next 4 years.
For DeLon Wright on the...
I think DeLon Wright is better than any other option they have right now.
Yeah.
I think Terrence Mann is their next best playmaker.
Yeah.
And that's not going to get you somewhere.
No, it's not. It's not going to get you anywhere.
Especially when Kawhi, all he asked for this offseason was playmaking.
Yeah.
I understand why they got Canard, but he hasn't been producing at a high level. Coming off of 2 DNPs. 2 out of the last 4 games were DNPs.
Now, granted, we don't want to sound like we're shitting on the Clippers. They did improve from last year.
They are solid.
But they
and
still
I think
have
right
holes.
now they have an edge on most teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking championship aspirations, right? And in order to be a championship team, you got to beat the Nets.
Mm-hmm.
And you need someone that's going to drive in, someone that's going to create. And the Nets look like the best team in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
You need to match up with them. And again, we're hard on the Lakers. I don't think they're championship caliber right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a lot of work to do. It's not just us talking crap about the Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
But the Clippers obviously have a big hole that you need to fill. It's simple. Just like the Lakers need to fill at the center position and get a rim protector, they need a playmaker at point guard.
One team, honestly, I feel like we're still sleeping on a little bit is the Utah Jazz.
Utah Jazz look insane.
They look
Now-
amazing. What's a real hole on their team?
The hole on... They don't really have one.
They don't really have a hole.
So you know what's crazy about the Jazz? Is the Jazz, they have 2 players that don't shoot 3-pointers, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got Gobert and Derek Favors off the bench in their rotation. Everyone else but George Niang shoots over 40% from 3.
Yeah, and that's insane.
And the way they're moving the ball in Quinn Snyder's offense is insane. But I think the way to stop this team, which I haven't seen anyone really try, is just let Donovan Mitchell go crazy in the paint. What you need to do is stick to 3-point shooters.
Mm-hmm. What Donovan
I don't
Mitchell
understand.
is...
You watch them play against the Lakers, right? And everyone was just trying to help on Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
So I understand. He is a top 20 player in the league.
Yeah.
He is amazing. But you need to stick to the shooters because every single one of them are going to make them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it comes down to. Is they're not killing you with Donovan Mitchell. They're killing you with Royce O'Neil, Joe Ingles, Jordan Clarkson. All these guys that are shooting insane numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And you just need to stick to shooters. Limit the ball movement and stick to shooters. If you let Donovan Mitchell go for 60, you're not going to win like that.
Yeah. I agree with that.
They can't win Donovan Mitchell just scoring 60, but you're not getting anything out of Royce O'Neil and Joe Ingles.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hole I see in their team right now. But
Joe Ingles is shooting like 52% from the field right now. Like, you can't... I don't know. You
They're
can't let
balling
any
right
of
now.
those role players go in favor of just stopping Donovan Mitchell. They're too dangerous on
Yeah.
offense. You can't...
And we saw Markieff switch a lot in the Lakers game. We saw a lot of switches. And that Gobert, Donovan Mitchell pick and roll is insane.
Mm-hmm.
With Mike Conley having almost a career year, he was an option for All-Star.
Yeah.
This is one of the best seasons we've seen out of them in a while. Their team is solid. They are one of the top 4 teams in the league right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you
I
see
don't
them
see-
being title contenders?
I think they could. I think they give a
me too.
lot of problem to teams.
They remind me a lot of the 2014-2015 Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah.
Or is it 2015-16? You know what Hawks I'm talking about.
The Hawks, they got blown out in the playoffs
yeah,
by
with
the
the 4
Cavs.
All-Stars.
They did have 4 All-Stars. Great at shooting.
Yep.
Everyone played defense
I see
except
a
for
lot of
Corver.
parallels.
I see a lot compared to them.
Yeah.
And I think the Jazz are going to be a really high win team this year.
Yeah, yeah. I can see him winning 60 games in the but shortened season. I can still see him winning 60 games. They've only lost 7 games up to this point. That's insane.
The Jazz are, as of today, February 27th,
26-7.
they're 26-7. This is insane. I honestly think they're going to finish first in standings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anyone getting close. And this may be just like, oh, they're really good right now.
They could be. We don't know.
But
They look really solid, though, and their game plan's executed, like, perfectly every game.
perfectly.
They have an amazing defense. It's hard to see them falling off this season.
Yeah. And you're looking, the Clippers are 3 games behind, and the Lakers are 3.5 games behind.
Yeah. But with the whole Anthony Davis situation, I see it being really hard for the Lakers to catch up and get that top seed this year.
Yeah. So, back to Anthony Davis. I only see him realistically playing around 10 more games
I can
this
see him
regular
play
season.
about 12. Because they got 24 after the All-Star break when he's supposed to come back, or whenever he's supposed to come back after 4 weeks, was it the timetable?
Yeah.
They had 24 games left, and I could see him sitting for half of those. So I could see about 12 games.
12 games. So the other 12 they're going to have to win without Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
And right now they haven't proven they can. Clippers could hop up. They did beat the Jazz earlier.
Mm-hmm.
again, solid team. I think they're just missing a couple things, and they could be right up there with the Nets.
Yeah.
I think right now the Nets are the favorite because they are killing it without KD.
Just so much talent.
I think they've won 9 games straight.
Yeah, and they only won one of those games with KD.
Yeah. Harden is looking like an amazing point guard.
Mm-hmm.
He's averaging over 10 assists a game with them.
He's a great shooting guard.
Kyrie's been scoring a bunch, and they've been getting good numbers from guys like Joe Harris.
Bruce Brown, man.
They're even getting production right now from Nicholas Claxton.
Nicholas Claxton's a little dog, man.
He is. He's
got some
solid.
cool hair. I like Nicholas Claxton.
He's solid. And they're getting a lot of production out of these guys that we didn't think they could.
Yeah.
We thought it was top heavy, and they are looking great.
And that
right
was
now.
a necessary thing for them to be a title contender. They had to get stuff out of nothing.
Yeah.
You know, those little role players they have, they're doing their job, and that's a very good sign for the Nets.
The only hole I see in the Nets right now is DeAndre Jordan is not a great defender anymore.
No.
So when you're running your playoff 5 out there, so the 5 you want, you're going to win the game. This is the stretch, say it's game 7 in the finals. Who do you have out there? It's KD at the 5.
Yeah. But then you have Jeff Green at the 4.
Yeah, basically.
That's a little...
Which is tough when you're looking at teams like the Jazz, the Lakers, who have great bigs.
That's going to be another team's scouring the buyout market. You're going to be looking for them to get a big.
They're looking for a big. Drummond was rumored with them. I don't see any way how they get Drummond.
There's no way.
But they need another defensive big. There's a lot of teams looking for it. There's the Raptors, Lakers, Clippers, Kings. Anyone needs a big right now.
Yeah.
Especially a rim-protecting big. And with that said, we're going to move on to the next segment, which is the emergence of Zion. Now, this is what's crazy. I got excited about this. The way Stan Van Gundy is using Zion is crazy. So over the past 2 weeks, you ready for his stats, Gabe?
Yeah, I am.
30 points per game, 7.1 boards, 4.6 assists, with 0.7 steals and 0.7 blocks.
Oh, my God. Tell him that efficiency, by the way. Free throws.
What's the efficiency?
63% from the field and 75% from the line.
Insane numbers.
75% from the line. That's something I haven't seen.
Putting up all NBA numbers right now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's debatable. He's single-handedly carrying this team.
It happened.
Now, what is crazy from watching the games is they're running Zion like point guard. So now, his usage since January 30th, he's bringing the ball up the court 11.4 possessions a game. And then from that, he is the pick-and-roll maestro, so the guy ball handling, for 14 times in a game. Now, a lot of times you're thinking, oh, pick and roll, him and Adams. It does happen. But most of the pick and rolls are where Redick and Lonzo Ball are setting the screens.
Pick and pops.
So what they're doing is and Zion's so fast for a guy his weight.
Yeah,
especially playing at the power forward.
Who are you going to switch on to him in that pick and roll?
All he needs is that much space to get by. So either he's getting to the rim, everyone's adjusting. You got shooters, Brandon Ingram in the corner. You got JJ Redick coming off the pick. And he's dishing out assists left and right. Yeah. I think over the past week he's averaging 5.
Yeah, he is.
2 weeks, 4.6. And his assist numbers are looking great.
Yeah.
He is turning into what everyone thought he was.
I love what Zion's doing.
Now, what's different is he's playing more like high school Zion compared to college Zion. So, college Zion, we saw a more refined game. We saw he was a great passer. But he wasn't taking the ball up the court like this.
Yeah.
We're talking high school where he is putting up assists. He's handling the ball. And he was short. He was 5'9" his freshman year. And then he sprouted to 6'3".
Oh, jeez. I'm still waiting on that.
So, he had solid... He grew up a point guard. A lot like, Chris Webber brings it up every time the Lakers play, that AD used to be a point guard.
Yeah.
That's what's happening with Zion.
Bro.
Zion grew up as a point guard. And you're seeing it in his pass game right now. Now, his defense could be better.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on that elite block rate that he had in college.
His stats are there, but he hasn't been the on-ball defender that we've all seen him do.
No, he was a very good on-ball defender. He was all-defensive team, wasn't he, in the SEC?
And I think the craziest thing about Zion is we haven't seen his full potential.
Yeah,
he's averaging 30 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists right now with a steal and a block. He was born in 2000.
That's insane. Oh, get out of here.
And he could get trimmer. He could get more athletic. He could do all these things. And he was born in the year 2000.
I just think it's so funny looking at what the Pelicans situation was 2 years ago with Anthony Davis wanting out, and we're like, man, the Pelicans are screwed.
And a lot of people were underrating Zion at the beginning of the season. They're like, his defensive effort isn't there, which it isn't.
Me included. I was a little low on Zion at the beginning of the year.
But now you see a building block for the future, and it's him and Ingram.
They need to get rid of Steven Adams ASAP.
But Steven Adams is not a good center for them.
That's a guy I could see somehow going on to the Nets if they give up cap space, like a big amount of cap space.
It would involve Joe Harris.
Joe Harris and Spencer Dinwiddie.
And I don't
think you'd want to give that much up.
I don't think you would. But Steven Adams is not the right center for Zion.
No.
You need someone to create space because
that's part of the reason I was so low on Zion.
Most of Zion's shots are within 3 feet.
Mm-hmm. And I could see what Stan Van Gundy was trying to do. He was trying to get a all crash the boards team that's going to kill you on the boards and then run up the floor. But it's just not working out like that, really.
They weren't pushing it. And when they play defense is the thing. If they play defense, there's going to be more fast break opportunities. Lonzo's going to flourish. Zion's going to flourish.
Too. Lonzo's having a career year.
Yeah. But once they put together defense, they need some defensive guys and some guys that can shoot so Zion can kick out. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at a team with 2 great players that should be all-stars for years to come.
Yeah. That's going to be a very good combo. If they can keep those guys together for years to come, that's a great combo.
But they need to put the surrounding pieces around it. Mm-hmm. And right now, David Griffin hasn't done a good job this season. I'm being honest. Because right now, they're playing a lot better. But they could be doing so much better. They're the 11th seed right now. They're 14 and 18. When you have Zion and Brandon Ingram, 2 guys that are that good, you should be doing better.
Yeah, I think patience is going to be a recurring theme with the Pelicans for the next couple of years.
Yeah, they need to find the guys. You have your 2 centerpieces for the future. You need to find the guys to put around it. Mm-hmm. And unload Steven Adams ASAP.
Yeah.
All right, so the next segment I wanted to get into, now that we're done talking Zion, is I wanted to get into our MVP, Most Improved, 6th Man of the Year, Coach of the Year, Rookie of the Year. So all the awards up to All-Star break, because this will be our last. This will be our last podcast before All-Star weekend.
Yes, it will.
So, do you want to go first with the MVP?
You know what? I think I am going to go first, Chase. I think I am. My MVP right now, as of right now, for the NBA is going to be Joel Embiid. He's the leader of the best team in the East. They're 22-11. I would pick someone from the best player on the best team, but the Jazz don't really have any MVP caliber players this year, I don't think, in my mind. So I'd pick Joel Embiid. Doc Rivers has done a great job capitalizing on what he's good at, surrounding him with the right pieces, and it's paying dividends, and you're seeing a real increase in production from Joel Embiid, and he's not sitting.
Putting people around him like Seth Curry and Danny Green helped him out so much. And with everyone playing defense on that team, it makes Joel's life so much easier.
Yes, it does. Yes. Him and Ben Simmons' life.
Yeah. So, for my pick, I also have Embiid. Mm-hmm. I'm going to read you the numbers really quick.
Great numbers.
Before the 4-game lose streak for the Lakers, I had LeBron.
Yeah.
And I think LeBron was putting up crazy numbers. But when they start losing like that, it's hard to give you the MVP.
Agreed.
And LeBron could still get it back. But as of right now...
I'm sure he will.
As of right now, Embiid is the favorite. Yeah. And I'm going to read you his numbers. He's putting up 29.6 points, 11.2 boards, 3.1 assists, with 1.3 steals and 1.3 blocks.
Those are great big man numbers.
They're great big man numbers. Helping the best team in the East. Now, their record doesn't compare to Western Conference records, but it's still solid. Mm-hmm. The thing that's crazy is we talk about the Sixers, and we're talking about LeBron losing 4 games, and that's why we didn't pick him to be MVP. Mm. You want to know what the difference in their record is?
3 games, right?
No.
What is it?
Lakers are half a game up on the 76ers.
Yeah, it's the West, man.
But that shows you the difference between the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference.
But I still think the 76ers are in better shape right now.
They are. They're looking dominant. And Embiid, it doesn't look like you have a stop for him. He is dominant. He's getting to the post. I think the only thing that stops Embiid is Embiid. And this is when he starts shooting 3-pointers.
He's done a good job of limiting those this year.
He has. But there's still times where he hits those threes. He takes those middies. You're one of the best post players in the league.
He's one of the most efficient mid-range shooters in the league this year.
He is. But when he goes out for that three-point shot, we know he can make it. He's not efficient at three-pointers. And it's like the defense is catching a break. Like, oh, do we have to fight with you in the post? No? We don't have to wait for you to hit middies at the highest rate in the league? Oh, yeah, we'll survive with you shooting 30% from three.
Yeah.
And I think that's his downfall right now. But other than that, solid player. I think right now he's the favorite.
Yeah.
Let's move on to most improved.
So for my most improved, I have Julius Randle, which I would have done Christian Wood, but he just hasn't played as much as Julius Randle. And right now, the Knicks are in the 7th seed in the East. The Knicks are the 7th seed, so the Knicks are in the playoff hunt right now.
They're 16 and 17 right now, yes.
Julius Randle is averaging like 20, 11, and 5 this year.
Can I stop you for a second?
Go ahead.
You know the Knicks have the same record as the Celtics and the Heat. They're tied for the 5th seed right now.
Yeah.
With Julius Randle as their centerpiece.
Yeah.
Insane.
No, Julius Randle's been amazing. And he's really unlocked I feel like he's just been able to grab the reins a little more and do what Julius does. He's running out there free roaming, and it's paying dividends for the team. And he brings a certain excitement to the Knicks that they haven't seen since Melo was there.
Yeah, and even with Melo, it wasn't that exciting first-round exit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move on to my most improved. So, obviously, I would have had Christian Wood. He's averaging 22 and 10 this season. Last season, he was averaging 13 and 6. Julius Randle solid, but I knew everyone's putting Julius Randle out there. I wanted to give another guy that isn't getting as much love in the most improved race right now, which is Jaylen Brown. So Jaylen Brown is averaging 25 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists.
Yeah.
So his numbers have went up by 2 assists and 5 points per game. But obviously leading the Celtics when Tatum was out. Right now it's not looking too good for the Celtics because they're out. Jaylen Brown's numbers have went down a little bit. But at the beginning of the season, he looked like all-NBA caliber.
He was amazing.
He looked like a star. Yeah.
Best two-way guard in the league for a little bit.
And I wanted to show him some love.
Yeah.
Celtics fans are going through a lot right now. Might as well throw him a little bone with Jaylen Brown as most improved player. All right, that moves us on to Sixth Man of the Year.
Sixth Man of the Year, I thought that was a pretty easy pick to make. Jordan Clarkson on the 26-7 Jazz. He's averaging 19 points.
He is averaging 18.1 points.
18 points.
3.9 boards, 2.2 assists, with 3.2 threes.
The thing about him, he has such a contrast to the rest of the Jazz's play style. It's just a perfect fit. They have all this ball movement coming in on the first unit. Passes, and then Jordan Clarkson comes in, and he's used perfectly. He does what he does. He's putting up shots. He's making the defense have to adjust, and it's working perfectly right now for the Jazz, having Jordan Clarkson as the sixth man. So I think he's the clear choice there.
Yeah, and I don't think there's another option. But one of the reasons he's doing good is because they have to stick to those other guys.
Yeah, exactly.
In the corner.
That ball movement.
Like we were saying earlier, they got to stick to the shooters, and it's giving Jordan Clarkson one-on-one range.
Yeah, man.
Now, this man is an isolation freak.
Yes.
He is insane, and I think he's a clear choice. I don't think there's anyone even close to him in Sixth Man of the Year.
There isn't, because a lot of people are also interchanging through starting and bench. It's not.
Yeah.
Sixth man's a little bit harder to gauge. But this year it's not, but, you know.
Exactly. All right. So moving on to Coach of the Year. I think I know your pick here.
Yeah, my pick is Quinn Snyder of the Jazz. 26-7, best offensive game plan in the league right now, best defense in the league. I can't really see anyone else being Coach of the Year.
I also have Quinn Snyder. No one expected the Jazz to do this
No
this
one
year.
did.
Especially
Big part
with
of it's Quinn Snyder in the
with
game
a
plan.
harsh first-round exit last year to the Nuggets, blowing a 3-1 lead.
Uh-huh.
No one was
76ers
expecting
have the process. Jazz have the game plan. That's what it is for them. I love it.
Yep. Quinn Snyder's put together the best offense in the league. I think you see it. If you watch a Jazz game, you can see it.
And he's primarily, for years past, his reputation has been built on defense.
Yeah.
So I think it's really cool.
I'm big on Quinn Snyder. I've had him for my Coach of the Year years in the past. He hasn't won it before, I don't believe. But he's solid. Solid coach on a 26-7 team that has the best record right now. And that's usually how it goes. So enough talking about the Jazz. Let's move on to Rookie of the Year.
Now, Rookie of the Year, I think, is one of the more polarizing picks for this whole thing. Because it's basically a two-man race.
It's a two-man race.
It's Tyrese Halliburton and LaMelo Ball. For me, I'm picking LaMelo Ball. Because there's been a recent a recent, takeover of LaMelo Ball. Over the last month, he's averaging 26 and 7 with 2 steals a game, almost 3 threes, and he's shooting efficiently. That's hard to get from a rookie. And he's such a polarizing rookie. I feel like the narrative's pointing at him. It's just going to be really hard to snatch away Rookie of the Year from LaMelo Ball this year.
Yeah, I think Tyrese Halliburton is playing really, really well.
He is. I have him on my fantasy team. I love me some Tyrese Halliburton, but
LaMelo right now is averaging 15 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, with 1.6 steals. Mm-hmm. Insane numbers for a rookie. He's also leading all rookies in total points, total rebounds, and total assists.
It's hard to beat that.
So, there's not really a conversation.
Yeah.
It should be LaMelo Ball.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the stuff is planned out. Like, we both agreed on Embiid. We both agreed on Sixth Man of the Year. Pretty easy.
Yeah.
Coach of the Year was easy. Rookie of the Year was easy. Right now, these races aren't close.
But look for that to change in the second half of the season.
The second half of the season could change a lot. We're only halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you wanted to add in this podcast, Gabe?
Nah, hey, just listen to that fantasy segment. It's going to be posted separately on YouTube. I want you guys to give that some love.
Yeah, it'll be posted separately on YouTube. We're working on an Instagram page soon.
Yeah, follow it.
Gabe is going to be running most of it with the player of the night for fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to show little clips of us in the podcast. We're going to start up a TikTok soon where Gabe will be giving top 5s for players. We'll give cool stories about players.
We're versatile.
We're trying to get that going soon.
Yes.
One more thing I wanted to add about Zion.
Go ahead.
I forgot to add this stat. This is way different, but I thought this stat was cool. He's first in drawing fouls out of isolation plays.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it close?
I'm not sure. I just looked up the stat, and he was first.
I figured that'd be Trey or something.
No, it is Zion Williamson. Out of isolation. So Trey draws most of his fouls out of pick and roll.
So, yeah.
But out of isolation, Zion is first. So not only is he doing all the stuff we mentioned earlier, but he's getting to the line at a great rate.
Yeah.
Shooting 78%, right?
Yeah, and he's shooting well from the line. That's something that I didn't think he was going to be developing this year. And he's doing it, and he's surprising me.
All right, but like we said, this is Dimes Unlimited. I'm Chase.
I'm Gabe.
All right, and we'll see you guys next week.